Hi everyone, welcome back to the last of our 5 exam tips on the English language papers. So this video is about English language paper 2, the non-fiction paper, and now section A, which is the comprehension. This is the most complicated of the 4 sections of the English language exams. You have 2 extracts, I have a multitude of questions to answer, some on extract 1, some on extract 2, some on both. So I'm going to walk you through it and give you my 5 tips to pick up the maximum number of marks. Off we go. Our level up challenge is nice and quick and simple, a bit like the last video, but this time I'd like you to jot down precisely the difference between literal language and figurative language. You probably heard those phrases before, but let's go into specifically what the definitions are and how that can help you in your English language exams and your English literature exams for that matter. We'll go through that at the end of the video. So, tip number 1, quite a lot going on this slide. If you're watching this video on a phone, it might even be a little bit too small, probably okay on a laptop or a desktop, but I really wanted to get all of this information on one slide or on one page. So what we have here is a breakdown of section A. There are 2 extracts you need to deal with. There are 8 questions in total and 56 marks. All right, so the timings are quite complex, but I've streamlined and simplified them for you. So my first tip number 1, is to think of the timings in this way. I've put on this slide. Basically, I've color-coded them so they're nice and simple. The black questions at the top relate to extract 1. There are 3 questions there. And you can see that I've advised that you spend 25 minutes on extract 1. The white questions in the middle of the slide, 3 of those, they relate to extract number 2. Again, I am suggesting you spend 25 minutes on extract 2. And finally, we have questions 7A and 7B. They relate to both extracts. But again, it's exactly the same, I would suggest, just to keep the timings very simple for you in the heat and pressure of an exam. I would spend 25 minutes on extracts 1 and 2. So 25, 25, 25, the easiest thing to remember. Don't get bogged down in 6 minutes for this question, 1 minute for that question, 15 to 20 minutes for the other question. If you simply remember not to spend any more than 25 minutes on each extract, the questions for each extract, your timing will be really close to spot on when you get to the end of section A. Tip number 2 then, the 2 extracts you are going to get are not going to be completely dissimilar. They are going to be linked. There will be a certain theme that links them. And when you come on to section B, your section B questions will be similar to the theme of the extracts. So there's a common thread running through it all. And just being aware of that, keenly aware of that, can definitely help you. All right, the first bullet point, as it says, you can't copy what's in the extracts when you come to section B. Obviously not. However, if they are about the theme of, I don't know, sports, then when you're answering extract 1 and extract 2, just because you're thinking about sports and what's in these 2 extracts, it might help give you some ideas that are useful when you get to section B. So just bearing this common thread, this kind of golden thread going through all the questions, extracts and sections of this exam, definitely a help. Also, the 2 extracts will be more contemporary than the extract you had in paper 1, which was from the 19th century. These 2 extracts will be from either the 20th or from the 20th and 21st century. So you're going to find the language a lot more accessible, a lot more contemporary, a lot more familiar. This is an advantage. You can use this to your advantage. Okay. So you might have lol in your extract, you might not, but you are going to understand the context of that contemporary phrasing. You're going to understand what different things that might be implying within your extract. So certainly use that to your advantage. I've just said there, you know, someone in the 1800s, if you said to them you were surfing the web, they would think you were absolutely mad. You might be sent off to Bedlam. It is only in more contemporary passages, extracts, that you're going to understand that. But of course, you are being teenagers in this century, so you can use that to your advantage. Number 3, just remember, keep it at the front of your mind that this is the non-fiction paper. Sounds obvious, but again, it can help you in several ways. Let's have a look. So the first bullet point, main purpose of non-fiction writing is to relay events that have actually happened. That is worth remembering. So non-fiction will always be grounded, even literary non-fiction will always be grounded in real events that have happened, real historical events. Okay, so the second bullet point there says that therefore, as they are non-fiction, they're going to be rich in certain kinds of language. There are going to be lots of dates, places, names, events, facts, statistics, all those kind of things which are vital to non-fiction writing. And in other words, what we are talking about, if you want to group all these different kinds of language under an umbrella, if you like, there's going to be an awful lot of what we call literal language. We'll go into this more at the end when we go through our level up challenge, but there's going to be a lot of literal language, a lot of specifics, a lot of facts. It's probably going to be less figurative language in a non-fiction extract. So if you're writing about an expedition to the North Pole, there are certain questions the reader is going to want to know the answers to. Who went? How many people went? Where were these people from originally? What preparations were made for the expedition, etc., etc., etc. So those kind of facts you are looking for, you're looking to soak up when you're reading a non-fiction extract, because those kind of things are going to be what the questions are most likely going to be about. So just to round off that one then, so yes, there will be emotive language. There might be lots of emotions. If it is an expedition to the North Pole, maybe people died on this expedition. Maybe not everybody made it back because of the extreme weather conditions. So there might be a lot of very emotive language in there. However, facts are vital to non-fiction writing. So look out for them when you're reading through the extracts. Number 4, all the answers are right before your eyes. This is the wonderful thing about comprehensions, about being given an extract. Yes, you might be asked to interpret what's in the extract, but everything is right there in front of you that you need to pick up all of these 56 marks. So therefore, what you need to do, and the biggest mistake probably, apart from timing issues, which we've addressed, the biggest mistake that students make in this section of this exam is not engaging with the extract in detail, not reading them closely enough, letting your eyes just slide over the words instead of actually really thinking, what does that mean? What effect is the writer trying to convey to the reader here? Or what effects? So what you have to do, it comes back to this word being specific. You have to consider specifically what information the writer is conveying. How are they creating specific effects? It's no good to say that, you know, the writer creates the effect of making the extract tense for the reader. Okay, how? Where is the tension? Which specific quotation can you pull out which denotes tension? And then how will you explain that quotation specifically, the words in it which show that the characters are tense or the atmosphere is tense? Is it the characters are tense, or is it that just that the atmosphere is tense? Which is it? So explain that, you see? You need to get into this writing as specifically as possible. That is the way to access higher marks. So do not skim over the words, don't skim read, only skim read just after you've written a paragraph in your proofreading. When you are looking for answers, you must engage closely with the extract. Number 5 leads on from number 4 really, but it's another little valuable exam tip. You will get no prizes for being vague. The number of vague answers in GCSE text are staggering, given that I think everybody is aware that you don't get any prizes for being vague. But let's have a look at how you can avoid this. So the biggest cause of lost marks is vagueness, is general, non-specific answers. Answers that don't relate specifically and in detail to a quotation and explain how that quotation answers the question. That is the key to getting close to 56 marks here. So if you think your answers may be a little vague, a little general, if you think you fall into this trap, okay, that's fine. Good to notice it now, well in advance of your exams, whether they are coming up to Christmas mocks or coming up to actual exams in the summer. We need to look at how to produce highly specific, relevant and detailed answers, and I will be doing exactly that in an upcoming video. Level up challenge answers then. So literal language explains exactly what is meant by the words on the page. Exactly what is meant by them. Whereas figurative language sometimes uses comparison, suggestion, implication, and can have different meanings to the literal one. So it's easier, I always think, to look at examples and then it kind of clicks what all those jumble of words at the top of the slide actually mean. So if you said to somebody, I weigh 55 kilograms, can you see that that is meant literally? There's really only one interpretation of that statement. I weigh 55 kilograms. You could add, I weigh 55 kilograms today, I suppose, make it even more literal and specific, but it's fairly literal anyway, isn't it? So let's have a look at a figurative statement, still using kind of the theme of weight, if you like. So what have you put in this suitcase? It weighs a ton. Yeah, can you see? That's a commonly used idiom. It's figurative, it's not literal. If the suitcase actually weighed a ton, you wouldn't be able to pick it up. Even if it was on wheels, I expect you would struggle to move it, and you certainly wouldn't be allowed on the plane with it, would you? So clearly it's not meant literally. We understand what it means. It just means that the suitcase is surprisingly heavy for its size or whatever, okay? So quick little 10-minute revision exercises. Try number 1 now, try number 2 tomorrow, try number 1, 2 and 3 now if you like. They're only designed to take about 10 minutes altogether. Firstly, write down 4 literal statements about your day today. What happened today that you can write down literally? Then try and write just one figurative statement about something that happened to you today. And number 3, how many interpretations can you think of for your figurative statement? How many different ways could that be interpreted by a reader? Yeah, a different reader, maybe a friend reading what you've written, or maybe somebody who's a complete stranger just reading that statement. How many different interpretations could they see in that statement? All right, and as ever, really good once you've done the revision exercises, just to add them into your revision folder. It may slip your mind before the exam, the difference between figurative and literal. You may think, oh, that's probably a good thing to know. I might want to actually talk about, how this is meant literally or how this is meant figuratively in my exam. So I better just flip through my notes and check. So make sure you've got thorough notes in your revision folder. A summary then. Section A, 2 extracts, 8 questions, 56 marks, an awful lot going on. But if you just remember the 25, 25, 25 minute rule for each extract, your timings will be precise. The 2 extracts are linked, not only by theme, but also to the questions that you're going to be writing about in section B. So just remember there is a golden thread running all the way through this exam paper in order to help you. The non-fiction paper means that there's going to be a lot more literal language than figurative, so look out for these facts, statistics, specific events whilst you're reading. All the answers are right there. Remember, if you don't think you can find an answer to a question, it is because you are not looking closely enough. And you'll get no prizes for being vague. Be very specific, very detailed, and make sure your answers are always relevant to the question. So thank you very much. That is the last video on our 5 tips videos on the language exams. Please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, whether you're a student, a teacher, a parent, thank you so much. Your support means that I will hopefully be able to carry on making videos like this in the future. So look out for the first of the literature 5 exam tips videos coming up. I think the first one is going to be on an inspector course, and that will be coming up in the next week or so. When you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell, and then you won't miss out on any upcoming videos. Thanks so much for watching. Look after yourselves. See you next time.